The one Celtic fans view. I'll just wait till this all catches up. And been an interesting couple of days. I'll tell you about that in a second. But it's good to be back. It's great to be back. Celtic fans view. Yeah, there we go. I did actually have. I did try to upload a couple of videos. I was away. I was on holiday, and I did try to upload a couple of videos, but it was taking an hour to upload on my phone. So there was no way I was going to try. Oh, perfect. So there was no way I was going to try and do a live because the internet speed where I was on holiday was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. But it was good to get away and it was good to just switch off. So then I decided just to not even do anything. I could have tried to do them on my phone, but it wouldn't have been as good quality. And anyway, we're back. That is the main thing. So there's a couple of things I want to talk about today. One is the Greg Taylor situation. Greg Taylor's a fantastic guy, and I'm not going to dispute there is a player there, and he's been a good servant to Celtic. I'll stand by my ground that Celtic should have sold him. That if they were in a normal position when it comes to transfers, he should have been sold with 6 months left to go on his contracts. Because with Kieran Tierney coming in, Greg Taylor's not going to play backup. He should have been sold. Simple as that. But there's a couple of things that I want to speak about Greg today, and he is a fantastic guy. Jota has been talking about the game in Munich, and I want to talk about Nick Walsh yesterday. Nick Walsh, the referee yesterday, who, when Celtic had a break forward, he just stopped the game. And Celtic were on the break, and it was just one of many decisions that Nick Walsh tried to impose his refereeing wisdom on Celtic, and tried to just stop the game as much as he could. He was a terrible, absolutely terrible referee. Big says, thank God I've burned out all Celtic content on YouTube. Yeah, it was good to be away. It was good to be away. I'm going to say good morning to everyone first, because you are the most important people on the channel. Willie man, where have you been? I've been on holiday. And I had a fantastic location for doing videos to, and I tried to do the videos, but I wasn't using my normal microphone. The microphone I was using is okay for doing mobile stuff, but when it goes through the laptop, the sound wasn't great, and it was telling me it was going to take an hour to 2 hours to upload the video. But I had to keep my mobile phone connected to the laptop, and I was like, I'm not sitting about here for 2 hours. I'm going to enjoy myself. Anyway, Tam Mack's in the house, Stephen Johnson's in the house, Paul McEwen's in the house, Dave Morton is in the house. Also, Danny Cassie's in the house, Nostra Boy's in the house. And who else is in the comments? Big Des, Tam Max in, Grab Boy's in as well. Also, and Stephen Pointer's in. So, yesterday, Nick Walsh. How poor was Nick Walsh? Celtic were in full flow with Callum McGregor on a counter-attack. The move was developing, and Walsh just blew his whistle. And it was one of a few decisions that was very, very strange from Nick Walsh. Maybe he's trying to just level the playing field with these Sevconian paymasters. It was an easy win for Celtic yesterday. It was an easy win, and it's a win that keeps us top of the table and a game closer to winning the league. Trailer isn't terrible. Give me your thoughts, and let's do a poll. Call off the search party. It's good to know that I've been missed. Let's start a poll this morning. There's the question. This will be an interesting one. The question is Greg Taylor the new Mikey Johnston? Celtic fans love to have a go at a Scottish player, but we have one Scottish player that we have, and listen to me, hear my thoughts on this one. Greg Taylor is the reason I think he's the new Mikey Johnson is Celtic fans love to have a Scottish player that they think is terrible and they think shouldn't be playing for Celtic and isn't Celtic quality. And if Greg Taylor had came through, I mean, Stephen Welsh was at one point this season. Do you know, Stephen Welsh was it? Greg Taylor is it just now. Mikey Johnson was it for years, which ultimately led to Mikey Johnson saying, look, I've had enough of the personal stick. I'm a Celt through and through, and I'm just going to go and play football and enjoy my football. So is Taylor the new Mikey Johnson for getting stick for the fans? And is he underrated? He's won 4 Premiership titles, 3 Scottish Cups and 3 League Cups. You know, it's an impressive haul of medals. He's not going to be a Hall of Famer anytime soon, but I think that Greg Taylor, does he get it too hard from a section of the Celtic supporter? Is he the new Mikey Johnson in the abuse that he gets on a sort of personal level? He's better than Mikey Johnson, that should have been the question, but I think that is it? I mean, I don't hear people. The media tried to say that Greg Taylor was getting dogs abuse at the Champions League game, and Brendan Rodgers batted it away and said, "You're talking nonsense. The fans were brilliant. I heard the fans were brilliant the whole game. I never heard any of our players getting abuse. It was the complete opposite. The fans were backing the team. So that mob could never get a hold of me. And so the question is does Greg Taylor get a hard time of it being Scottish? And is it down to the fact that he's letting his contract run down and he's not signed a new contract? Because there's obviously a difference between what Celtic want to pay him and what he wants. He's going into the twilight of his career. He's 27-year-old. He's coming into his prime. Greg, and this is what's... Can Greg Taylor's a player that's... Every time a new player has come in, he's surpassed the challenge that was put in front of him. He's surpassed the challenge that was put in front of him. And he's made sure that he's upped his game a little bit. Is it the fear factor? Is it the fear factor of Kieran Tierney returning that's going, do you know what? I'm not going to get a game in, week out. And talking about that, Alistair Johnston was speaking to the media yesterday, and he starts off with Brendan Rodgers stated his desire to keep Taylor, but Brendan Rodgers says, look, he's been a brilliant servant to the club. I hope he can continue throughout my time here and beyond. You see some of his performances and concentration and commitment to the team and club. It's always there. It's between the club and his representation, his representatives to sort it out one way or the other. Keeping Taylor, I mean, there's still the story going around that he signed a pre-contract with Dynamo Zagreb. If he has, he's keeping it. He's not telling anyone in the dressing room. But after the defeat to Bayern Munich, Alistair Johnson says that, look, Taylor loves the club. He loves being here. Obviously, with Kieran Tierney coming in, it makes it a little more difficult. I won't speak for Greg, says Alistair Johnson, but he's a really good player. I think he's one that gets overlooked. He often gets overlooked on how good he is and how much he impacts what we're able to do on the pitch with his ability to come inside and how good he is on the ball. Taylor's situation is the fact that he's been first choice for so long. The Canadian went on to say that he's sympathetic that his desire to remain a first team starter as he approaches the peak years of his career. If it's his last year here, he's going to be missed not only on the pitch but off it. Johnson says that he's a massive character. He's part of the team. You have to understand that he wants to play week in, week out. You're bringing Kieran Tierney here to play week in, week out. So it isn't going to be an easy situation, whatever happens. But he's going to give his best to the club to the end of the season, says Alistair Johnston. Let's see what some of you are saying in the comment section. Chris says, fans need to get off his case. He's done brilliant for Celtic since KT left. Yep. I think Young's improving. That's a different conversation altogether. The fans have their bad player, says Big Des. I understand shouting at the telly from the stands. You get a reaction from someone. If he's not signed a pre-contract, it's not affecting him on the pitch. That goes to show his dedication. Yes, it does that. It does go to show his dedication. But also, It's a terrible situation that Greg Taylor's in, and it's none of his doing. It's none of his doing. We've had the left back question. The left back question has been a question ever since Kieran Tierney left, ever since Greg Taylor came in. Every manager's tried to bring in a better player than Greg Taylor, and that's fact. You know, every manager since Brendan Rodgers has tried to bring in a better player than Greg Taylor, and it's not worked out for Celtic. The guy plays his heart out every game. I always back that, says Craig. Taylor created his own situation, says Tommy. I don't think Taylor created his own situation. I mean, you can understand it at 27-year-old and your football career is short. He's got 5 years left. This is his last big payday. When you get to this age, this is the contract that kind of sets you up for life, as you say. It's not the case anymore where players would be at a club and then they would get a testimonial, and then their testimonial money went to go and buy a wee boozer, and then you'd go and buy a wee pub somewhere, and then that was you set up for life. You had your pub, the money for your testimonial. It's a different game in this day and age. And look, I see George Cadet talking about players and what they're going to do after. George Cadet's a builder. You know, I've still got Cadet on Instagram, and I've still got his phone number. Cadet he refurbishes houses. He does up houses in Portugal. That's what he does now. You know, it couldn't be. It's a completely different life. His football career is a blip in the past now. You know what I mean? It is a blip in the past, and there's not many careers. If you want to get, put it this way, right? If you want to get rich, there's only 3 ways in life to get rich in your 20s and 30s, right? And it's either be an entrepreneur and have a friggin' cracking business and make a real good go at it and focus on it night, day, and be right in the trenches and really go for it. You could be a sportsman who gets to the top of their game, and that dedication starts when you were 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. And then it finishes in your 30s, early 30s, mid-30s. You know, but there's all this dedication that's happened beforehand. And I think when we get to a football player, we sometimes dismiss the journey that they've went on since they've been a kid. You know, Greg Taylor's 4 or 5 years at Celtic it's the high point of what's been a long and lengthy journey to get to there. You know, and I think as fans, we sometimes forget this. I think as fans, we forget that, you know, Greg Taylor's football life, as we see it, has only been 5 years at Celtic. But it's not. It's been since he was a kid. And give him a break. He's been doing this. This was his dream. To focus on that one thing for such a long, long time, knowing that in 5 years' time it's over. It's gone. Do you know, the normal people like me and you, people like me and you will go to work in a factory, go to work somewhere, and you do that all your days, and you'll never achieve fucking half the things in your life if you just stick to that one job and you work in a factory and you fucking get your retirement, you get your fucking goal, you get your watch at the end and you go off to retire. You've had to work your whole friggin' life for that. Your whole life to achieve that. Greg Taylor's been focusing on something since he was a kid. To then have people say that he's not good enough and demean him and you know, and that happens in life. Your boss might say you're fucking shit at your job. Well, fuck you. Do you know? It's I just think that we need to have a little bit of a perspective, and it's hard for fans. It is hard for football fans, and I get that because we want the best for the team. We will be here after Greg Taylor goes. We will be here after Scott Brown left. We were here before Scott Brown. We were here after Scott Brown. Players can come in and have an affiliation to the club and have a love for the club because of what the fans gave them during their career. And that sticks with them for life. George Cadet, you go into his Instagram, he's just put more pictures up of the latest wreck of a house that he's just refurbished and he's selling on. That's what he does now. Do you know? And I think as football players, they like to have the good memory and the good time of their short career. Anyway, I digress. He passes the ball back. It's a perfect pass. Here's a fact. The fans are paying to see Greg Taylor. If you do not pay the money to watch Celtic, it's simple. You're not paying the money to watch Greg Taylor, you're watching the play. Chapel says, Greg Taylor will never be as good as Kieran Tierney. We know that, but the guy deserves better support from our so-called fans. Yes, and I just, it's not just Greg Taylor I'm talking about. I think it's football players in general. Haven't seen what my cousin has went through over the last 8 years. And that's his son just turned 16 and signed his first professional contract with a football club, a Premiership football club. I know the work that my cousin has went through over the last 8 years just to get to this point to sign his first professional contract. Nobody thinks about that. Nobody thinks about the parents driving them back and forward to training, back and forward to games, taking them to the stadium, and then this day and age the youth teams are going away in buses just like the first team. But it's the work that goes in beforehand, and I just think as fans, he's made too many mistakes, says Ian, at higher levels with Celtic and Scotland. Look, we all know some players' limitations. Look at Peter Grant. Peter Grant at Celtic. He got it in the 80s and 90s. He got it it was the 90s, it was the early 90s. Peter Grant used to get it. Do you know? He was woeful in midfield compared to Paul McStay. But when you're trying to compare Peter Grant to Paul McStay or John Collins, you're not a no winner, are you? He was the one that got it back then. So there's always a Scottish player that gets it. Martin says, even Carlos came on after Greg T. He had a job of winning over the fans. Yeah, if Roberto Carlos came in. If Roberto Carlos came in at 38-year-old to play for Celtic after Kieran Tierney, he would have had a hard job. Chilpel says, Alistair Johnson made the worst mistake on Tuesday night. Yep. Peter Pointer. Nostra Boys says, I've seen bigger players than that fuck up in European games. Yes, and you have. There's a lot bigger players that have mucked up on European games. And I'm not letting my coffee go cold today. If you were to get a left back that doesn't make a mistake, was to complete the finished item, it would cost us 40 million and 50 grand a week in wages. If you're a 40 million pound player is on 100 to 200 grand a week, sorry, but a 40 million pound player in this day and age is on over 100 grand a week, easily down south, easily. Stevens and Tilburg in the Netherlands. Kieran Douglas says, it'll be really ironic if everyone buzzing about KT and he comes back and he's actual shite. It'll be interesting to see how the fans act with that. But that's for the future. Chilpel says, Dave, football's career is short and they have to make as much as they can. Exactly. You know, Greg Taylor, well, it is a short career in a financial sense, but it's been a lifetime for Greg Taylor and every football player. Like I said, my cousin's son has just signed his first professional contract with an SPFL team, and he's been going through the youth ranks for 8 years, and he's only now getting his first agent. He's just signed his first agent, and he's signed his first professional contract with, I'm not going to say the team. And it's interesting watching it from the other side of the fence, because I've watched him develop as a player, and he's going to be a fantastic striker, by the way. And Celtic have made contact before and tried to sign him for Celtic, but he decided to stay at the team that he's at because they've got a fantastic youth setup, and they've always had a fantastic youth setup, truth be told. Anyway, do you think Celtic will get better players in the summer? They have a large budget. Who would you move on, says Ian. We'll talk about that towards the end of the video. I want to talk about the game on Tuesday. First of all, I'm going to start talking about that. And Jota issues a battle cry as he urges Celtic to stick to their principles. And not only Jota believes that Celtic sticking to their attacking principles will have the best chance of upsetting Bayern Munich in Germany. It's an all or nothing game in Germany. Brendan Rodgers says we can cause them problems, and Rodgers reveals he plans to pull off a monumental shock in Munich. Oh, a monumental shock. After beating Dundee United 3-0, Brendan Rodgers declared Celtic are ready for Bayern Munich and urged them to be bold in Germany. He's urged his team, he's urged them to be bold in Germany. The goals from Callum McGregor, Jota and Adam Ida yesterday were... I've not even spoken about that yet, but the goals. Callum McGregor doing what Callum McGregor does. I mean, I see Callum McGregor getting a lot of stick, but he produces the goods time and time again. He consistently produces the goods. And yesterday he scores another cracker of a goal. Absolute cracker of a goal. Just inside the box this time. Wasn't outside the box. When you look at the one from Jota comes in from the wing. We step over or two, gets past the player, curls the ball into the back of the net. Fantastic goal for Jota. And then you look at Adam Ida, another player, not worth the money. Not worth a fucking penny. Adam Ida fucking scores a screamer yesterday. Scores an absolute is it St Mirren, Baz, or Kelly? No, it's an Edinburgh team. It's an Edinburgh team. And it's a team that's usually fighting for third position, so that'll let you know which one it's Hearts. I'll let you know it's Hearts. And none of the family are Hearts fans, put it that way. None of the family are Hearts fans. So yeah, but Hearts have been absolutely fantastic with him ever since he was a kid. But anyway, it was a vintage goal by Jota. I want to talk about the Adam Ida one. Ida's goal was unreal. He gets a lot of stick, Adam Ida, but do you know, he stepped into that. It's not even a void, is it? It's not a void left by Kyogo. I mean, nobody's even talking about Kyogo. Eddie McPhee has a backup. I have to admit that Schloop is an excellent shot. Yeah, the Schloop one to come off the post, the post. That if that had went in as well, Jesus, he was unlucky. That just, I mean, it didn't just batter off the post, did it? He's lucky it wasn't the old wooden post that we used to have, because I think he would have broke the post. Anyway, there's been 92 votes this morning. Is Greg Taylor the new Mikey Johnston? 37% say yes, 63% no. Interesting. There are no Rangers fans, Baz. No, there are no Rangers fans, Anthony. Of course, no. No, they're not. Part-time prodies. No, that's just the club. Do you know what I mean? That's just the club. Anyway, if I'm brutally honest, we're playing more fluid since Kyogo left. I think so as well. And it's weird because I think that we were too focused on Kyogo. McGregor isn't playing against good players. Remember, it's the SPFL. It's the SPL. Says Jim McClarty, giving Greg McGregor. You've got to. It's your bread and butter. It's your bread and butter. Do you know what I mean? It is your bread and butter. And if you can't be good against your bread and butter, you then get the same treatment as Greg Taylor. So put it into perspective. If Callum McGregor isn't doing it on a weekly basis in the SPFL, he then starts getting labelled the same as Greg Taylor, and fans are starting to chase him. Just a thought. We haven't missed Kyogo. Jota was dominating all game long. Yep, I think Kyogo is regretting move. Who cares about Kyogo? He wanted to go and play at a top 5 European league. Let's see how he's playing in the second division in France next year. Like I said, swapping Jota for Kyogo was a great swap. Plus 2 million cash. So anyway, Brendan Rodgers has no fresh injuries going into the game on Tuesday. Our quality of football on the surface was difficult at the moment, but we had a real high level of concentrated game, and all 3 goals were individual quality, Brendan Rodgers says. All 3 goals are individual quality. The work we put in from the first whistle was terrific. We've played 4 times since United's last game. We've played 4 times since United last played. So we knew that they were going to come on fresh. They might have been fresh, but it was one-way traffic, wasn't it? The DNA of the team and the mentality is we never look for an easy game. Brendan Rodgers says, we know that every game is a challenge for us. On the back of an exciting midweek, these games can be difficult. You can have that European hangover, as we all know. You think you look at our results after the Champions League and it tells you the mentality and the focus of the players. They've been performing well this season. We're in a really good place. I think it's an exciting challenge for us in Munich. It's a big opportunity. It's massive. It's a win or nothing. Can Celtic cause an upset? I need 1 vote, and I'm going to close that. I'll just close it down. There we go. Can Celtic win in Germany? Can Celtic win in Germany? That's the next question. So Bayern drew yesterday. I think Kyogo has just ruined his career. Yes. Yang is so frustrating. I thought Dundee United were terrible yesterday. Yeah, I think... they weren't great. But we can win anywhere on the night, says Angela Inertia. Can we win in Germany? Realistically, we haven't been that successful in winning away in the Champions League. Could this be the day that we win away? It's a song that Celtic fans sing, and I've sung it myself in Merry European Ties. This is the day that we win away. But can Celtic upset the apple cart, considering the way that we played for the best part of 60, 70 minutes against the Germans at Celtic Park? Wasn't until the last 20 minutes. Will it be the same? Well, of course it's going to be the same in Germany. We're going to be under the cosh. Come out the box, stun them and get the result. Would it have been different if the goal that Nico Kuhn had scored wasn't offside? I mean, Adam Ida was asked about it, and Adam Ida said, look, was I interfering with play? I kind of overstepped the ball to make sure that I wasn't. The ball kind of went through his legs. Is that interfering with play? Well, yes, it is. And then you go by the book, it's interfering with play. If he'd stood still and didn't overstep the ball and let the ball go past him, put his hands up, he's not interfering with play then. But the fact that he overstepped the ball, and let's be face it, Adam, if you were actually going to try and backheel it into the net, and if you had made contact with it, the goal was offside anyway. The fact that you were in an offside position, come on. Can we win in Germany? 67% yes, 33% say no. We can't win away in Europe against smaller teams. Beating Bayern would be one of the almost our best result in history. Chill pill with a bit of realism this morning, and I think so as well. We can't win away against smaller teams. There's a couple of games there's one game in particular that we should have won away from home in the Champions League this year, and we didn't. Hopefully the team gets early, settled into Munich, a bit of sightseeing, relax going into the game, and bring home the result. Yes, we can try and beat anyone. We need to win by 2 goals. Exactly. We need to win by 2 goals to go through. Can we beat them 2-0? It's not going to happen, is it? If we'd managed a draw in Germany, I think we would realistically have a chance. But 2-1, we're up against it. We are up against it. 1-0 win and take it to extra time. That would be real. Let's be real. I can't see them beating Bayern. Remember, Rafe Rovers went over there and were winning 1-0. Yes, they were. And Rafe Rovers still have that up in their stadium, inside the stadium, I believe, because my brother's been in there, and they still live on that memory. I've been 1-0 up in Germany. If we'd beaten Zagreb, we would not be playing Bayern. That's Chilpil, that's the reality. And we were that close to... I mean, there's no easy ties. There's not really any easy ties, but when you're up against a team like that, It is what it is. And if you want to get to the later stages of the Champions League, you have to start beating teams like this. You have to start competing. And I don't think that we competed for the majority of the game. I think that was what Brendan Rodgers knows. It's an all or win. It's an all or nothing win game. You know, it is. It's an all or nothing. We either go there and have a really good go and get beat 3 or 4-0, and then you go, fair enough. But then, would you accept that? Would you as fans accept going there and having a go and getting beat 3-0? Would you accept that at the later stages of the Champions League? Or would you rather go out to Germany, be really solid defensively, try and hit on the break and get beat 1-0? It's an interesting one. It's an interesting one. We look scared. It says T1. We are the champions. Yeah. If you remember Mark Kane in the box, I think it was criminal. I don't know who was meant to be man marking Kane, but letting a striker of that quality sneak round the back of your defence and nobody been marking him at all was absolutely quality. I'd rather go down fighting. I think we've got goals in us. T1 says we were getting outplayed until the second half. Yes, Chilpel says that I'd rather go down fighting. I'd rather go down fighting. When it's at this level, you know, it's like, just have a go. If they hit us on the break and score a goal, so be it. It happens at that level. Happens with the best of teams. I think Bayern fan media keeps saying their defence is suspect. 1-0 hoops and beat them in penalties. That would be absolutely brilliant. Nobody marking Harry Kane is laughable. Even before it happened, when I'm watching, I'm like, he's going to score. Look at the space he's getting, and then the ball comes right through to him. And there's one. You could say that maybe Kasper Schmeichel could have read it a bit better, but a younger, more agile keeper, not a chance. We didn't believe we could beat them. That was the problem. Once we got the belief that we were good enough. And is that the issue with this current Celtic team? Is that the issue with the Celtic team this season? It's really just their third year as a squad in the Champions League. And we've progressed so far. Let's not take it away from the players, what they've done this season. You know, to get to this phase and still be in the reckoning, you know, still being in there is a fantastic achievement. Playing in Scottish football, playing against the likes of Dundee United, and then having to go and play at a completely different level. And you can understand why Kyogo wanted to go and play at a higher level, but you've got to win domestically. Do you think that Dynamo Zagreb complains about the teams that they play on a week-to-week basis, and then when they go to the Champions League, they're like, it's too hard, man. It's too hard. Do you know, Club Bruges, do you think that they moan about the teams that they play on a week-to-week basis, and then when they get into the Champions League, they're like, oh, come on, it's fucking Bayern Munich, it's Real Madrid, it's Atletico Madrid, it's Man United, Man City. Man United are shite, they're never in it. We show teams too much respect. Is that a quality thing then? If we show teams too much respect, is that a quality thing? Is that a mentality thing of playing in the SPFL, or is it just the case that it's a learning experience? Alistair Johnson's done it at the World Cup. You know, he's done it in the Champions League thing and the America's Cup thing. He's done it at the highest level with Canada. At the very highest level. It shouldn't be... Is it the fact that we've not got enough players? And it's hard to try and attract players of Alistair Johnson's quality. Let's face it, that are international players picked for their national team. It's hard for Celtic to try and get quality players like that to come to Celtic. And if we did have, we would do a lot better in the Champions League. But it is all a learning experience. And look at when you look at the quality of the players that are at it's Celtic just need to have that little bit of more belief, and if they just go for it, go for it. I mean, I said it. Never mind wages, never mind transfer fees. When it comes to it, it's just 11 players on the pitch, and those with the desire and the belief can sum over hard work, desire, and belief can sometimes outdo quality. And it's been proven time and time again, that if you've got that belief, if you've got that desire, if you've got that little mentality to say, you know what, fucking no chance, we're not letting them do this. We're going to win. Going out with the attitude thinking that we're going to win. We are going to win this game. And I think that's the mindset thing that Brendan Rodgers needs to try and get into the players before the game. Having that belief that for the very first... And I think if Nico Kuhn's goal had stood at Celtic Park, you'd have seen a completely different Celtic. A completely different Celtic play that first half. Completely different. And I think that Bayern would have went, holy shit, they're a good team. They're 1-0 up. But then is that then what made Bayern Munich go, we've got a game plan, stick to it, close down Callum McGregor, don't let anything go through him, jump on straight onto the wingers, as soon as they get the ball, close them down straight away, because they don't like it when they get closed down straight away. The manager knew his stuff. He knew how to play against Brendan Rodgers, and then people will get to the position and say, it's Brendan Rodgers, can't do it in Europe, can he? He's took Celtic further than we've been since the manager that was in before Brendan Rodgers. Not a long time ago. And the manager that came in after Brendan Rodgers. Jason Lee says, it's possible for us to find another Dyson Maeda. That would be frightening. Can we find another Dyson Maeda? We would need to find... I just hope that Kieran Tierney comes in and refines the form that he had before he left to go to Arsenal. Because if we have Kieran Tierney that finds that form again and manages to stay fit, if we keep Alistair Johnson, I still think that we need a central defender that is of equal quality or better than Cameron Carter-Vickers. I still think that we still need a centre half that is that bit better. And then if Greg Taylor leaves, we're in the market for another left back that's going to play back up to Kieran Tierney. In the middle of the park, as good as Rio Hatate is, I think that we need a player that is a step up from Rio Hatate in the midfield. Is Arne Engels that long term? Arne Engels is a lot younger than Rio Hatate, and I think that he will come of age as a Celtic player. Callum McGregor's coming towards the tail end of his career. He's got a couple of seasons left in him, but looking forward, we need to start finding the next big thing in the midfield. We need a real good playmaker in the midfield that's willing to... We need another Scott Brown. Ultimately, we need a player that can control the game, that can close people down, that's not scared to attack the defence when they've got the ball, and at the same time be ready to track back straight away. I think that's Rio Hatate's downfall. He doesn't track back quick enough. He doesn't help the defence quick enough. He leaves it to other players. And then wingers, I think that we're okay for wingers. And strikers, will Johnny Kenny come good as a Celtic striker at that level? I think that Brendan Rodgers knows that we still need another top quality striker that gives us something different from Adam Ida. I think Johnny Kenny's a little bit similar to the way that Adam Ida plays. I think two of them are a similar type of players. So we definitely need a strong attacking 6-yard box striker that's able to do runs like Kyogo. But which then says we're only three really decent players. But we say this every year. We're only 3 really good quality players coming into the squad to take us up that notch. But what happens is we bring a couple of players in and then we get rid of players. So we're not taking that next step. Will Celtic ultimately have the belief as a club to back Brendan Rodgers this summer to take us on to that next level? That's the big question. Does the club have, and our esteemed owner, do they have enough belief in Brendan Rodgers and his ability as a coach to just get him in a couple of players that are a little bit more experienced and a little bit more quality that can just get us to that top 16 in the Champions League? You know, rather than 16 to 24 in the pot. Players that can get us to that top 16 so that we are a bit better positioned. Anyway, that's all to come in the future. 94 votes, 67% say yes, we can win in January. 33% are the realists, and they say no. All the fire stick watchers blame Taylor for everything. They don't see what he does off the ball. Chilwell, exactly. You don't see. This is why I used to love sitting where I sat when I sat in the Club Celtic lounge, because you were just that decent size up off the touchline in the stand, where you could see everything going on. You could see the positional play of the players, and it was fantastic. And I used to sit, and my brother used to love it, because we would sit and go, who do you think will get called off? Who would be the first substitutes? And I always called the first substitutes, the first two subs. I always called the first two subs, because when you can sit and you see the who's doing what off the ball, and where they're manoeuvre, when they're moving off the ball, and what they're doing, and you know, is a player hiding and stuff, who's not performing. You don't see that on the telly. The telly's focusing on the ball, and you know, you don't see a lot of the stuff that goes on. And that's why I think that Callum McGregor gets a lot of stick for people that sit at home, because they don't see what he brings to the game when he's not got the ball. But it is what it is. I wonder why we never play a double pivot in Europe versus top teams. Interesting. Brendan Rodgers isn't going to change his style. McCowan should get a game before Hatate. Yes. It sounds like a great seat, Baz. Well, it was a great seat. It was. And it was seat block 208. Block 208. And I used to go to games, and when I go to games, I'm in 138. What have you? It is. It's the same for Hatate and Kalmak. He loses the ball once and he says that he passed it. Yep, he controls every single game we play. Kalmak, yes, he does. The hate for Kalmak, yeah. Kalmak is a player that, you know, I know what he brings to the game. I've seen enough of Kalmak over the years. I can remember that I've been there at his very first game coming through for Celtic, and you could see he was a player then, and he's had a fantastic career. Kalmak was my man of the match yesterday, says Chilwell. Lee McCowan was cutting about, taking shit off nobody. Yes. Can Luke McCowan grow? Luke McCowan's a lot further. You've got to listen to what Luke McCowan said in an interview about a month ago. He said that he's had more game time than he was expecting this season at Celtic. He knew that the first season would just be a bedding in season. It's a bit like Scott Brown. Scott Brown's first season at Celtic was a bedding in season. You know, Graham Strachan, fucking. Oh, fucking, my head's up my arse this morning. I'm reading something else. Gordon Strachan totally changed Scott Brown's career. Gordon Strachan completely changed them. And Kalmak was awesome. Totally agree. Talking about Luke McCowan, he knows that this season was going to be a bedding in season for him. And I think you'll see a better Luke McCowan next season. I think you'll see him growing into the position, growing into the player, becoming one of those players that is as important to the squad as Callum McGregor. McCowan is one of our best players, if not the best. Interesting. In August, I highly recommend McCowan. I said he'd be like the new Paul Hartley for us. I stand by it. Yep, you did, mate. You did that. I'm surprised McCowan took the free kick as opposed to Jota. McCowan's got he's got a reputation of scoring some cracking free kicks. I think McCowan just needs that little bit of game time. A little bit of game time to get him, once he starts playing on a more regular basis, which I think will happen in the summer. Because I think that we all know that there's a big possibility that this will be Rio Hitate's last summer. He's not going to watch Kyogo disappear to I don't hate Postecoglou, he's gone. Ange said he would never come back to Celtic. Ange said like football teams are like women, you never go back to an ex. That was Ange Postecoglou's words. I don't hate Ange. He's a past manager. Doesn't matter anymore. You always focus on the here and now. There's no use looking back in life. I never do that. You always look forward. You always see the positives in the here and now, and you focus on that completely. When you reminisce and you think about what's past, that's no good for tomorrow. That's no good for tomorrow whatsoever. You know, you might have been absolutely fantastic at something 2 years ago. Well, that was 2 years ago. Doesn't mean fuck all, does it? No, that's the way that I treat life. It's the way it is. It is the way it is. I think Taylor would be a massive miss. Fans would see it, says Liam Miles. If Kieran Tierney comes back and is as good as he was, I think Brendan can get him back to being his best. So we'll need to wait and see. He's spot on. Why take your ex back? An ex is an ex for a reason. Exactly. He's mad. Exactly. And Brendan Rodgers never said that he would never go back to Celtic. Brendan Rodgers says, you never know. I'm going to end that on 111 votes. The good old 111. Can Celtic win in Germany? 63% yes. No says 36%. How many fans miss Starfelt? Yet he was seen as the weak link. Yep. Is Mick dodgy? Who's Mick dodgy? Danny Cassie. Get into that rotten mob. Fans need to be careful what they wish for. The sound keeps going off. Shouldn't do. Anyway, I've been on for 47 minutes this morning. That's probably the missus tapping in saying you've been on far too long. I will be back. We might be back later on this afternoon if results go the right way. There has to be a little bit of a meltdown. Hopefully this afternoon. Will there be a meltdown? Sounds fine. Mick, microphone for fuck's sake, Baz. I think they mean Mike Baz is the thing that you're talking into. Oh, that's alright, man. Anyway, if there is a meltdown this afternoon, we'll all be up for that. I am sure. I'm going to listen to this back to see if there is any cutting off. And on that note, if I'm not back on this afternoon, yeah, there will be a meltdown. Has to be a meltdown. We need a meltdown. Sunday meltdowns are the best. And I don't have... See, that's all been deleted. Anyway, on that note, have an absolutely fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world. It's great to be missed. It is. It's nice to be missed. It's nice to know that you're loved. Anyway, I've missed this.